Nod-Krai's Act 1 and Act 2 is the best Act 1 and Act 2 that I have played in this game. The way that the story was very cohesive in nature, the presentation, the characters, the personality, the expressions, the environment, the aesthetics, it was top tier. It felt like, a Final Fantasy game was merged with a Witcher 3, and that is the love child, that is Nod-Krai. It honestly gave me that vibe. Nasha Town and the Kuwaki Experimental Design Bureau, if that's what the Fatui place is called. Those two reminded me a lot of Final Fantasy VII, especially the sectors that Final Fantasy VII had and the Mako reactors. It was very reminiscent with all the steel plates and the steel houses, and the people living there aren't very well off. Like, they're just scrapping by to get by, like, just to live a day, do something. And meanwhile, the Hisi Island part, the Paha Isle, it was very reminiscent of The Witcher 3, Skellige, or the Isle of Mist if you want to take Paha Isle, the final cemetery area where Flins lives. And even then, there were some regions like in Nasha Town only where the music felt very Novigrad-esque, and it was just so well done, especially if you've played many RPG games before, like if you've played Skyrim or Witcher 3 or Final Fantasy or I don't know, any other game that revolves in the medieval era. And they've just nailed it with Kuhenki also being part of the exploration, although I don't think it's as good as Night Soul Transmission, because there's just this different vibe that you get when you're riding a bike with Mauvika, and then you can instantly swap into Shilonen skating, and then when Shilonen jumps you can instantly swap again into Chaska flying on a gun. There's just this certain charm and certain adrenaline that you get when you do that sort of exploration. So compared to Natlan, the exploration is back to the basics. Like you're getting back to understanding the stamina system. You have to manage your stamina, you have to manage where you glide, because even the Kohenkis aren't very versatile. Like they can follow certain paths and they have a limited cooldown. So it is kind of a mixed bag in terms of exploration, but it can be avoided. And plus Nod-Krai isn't that huge compared to what Natlan was when it released. Now talking about Act 1, I felt that it was amazing because, first of all, we already know Ineffa from the Nod-Krai Prelude. So the quest did not have to wait and build up Ineffa, since we already know her. And also there's this one really funny scene where Ineffa mentions cuckoo saws. I think like nobody in Nod-Krai understood what Ineffa was meaning, but as a Chaska enjoyer, as a member of the Flower Feather clan, I knew what she was saying. And the quest was given time to develop other characters, like Aino, for instance. Now we've heard of Aino from Ineffa, but we got to see her in action, see how she's obsessed with clink and clank and mech parts and screws and everything. And she's a fun, loving, snack-eating girl. She is absolutely amazing as a character. It also spent a lot of time developing Lauma and Nefer, which is very good. And then towards the end of Act 1, they just did let's forget about Lauma now. Let's focus on Jahoda. Now Jahoda was one of the highlights of this entire Nod-Krai Quest. It's not an Archon Quest, so I'm just going to call it Nod-Krai Quest. Jahoda is somebody that I did not expect to like that much. I even put out a ranking video, before Nod-Krai livestream happened. I put out a ranking video where I think I placed Jahoda right above Aino or so, towards the last side. It was the lower side of the ranks, because I thought that she was a Nintendo Switch girl. I thought that she was a thief, which I was kind of right on that point. She is a thief, but Jahoda's expressions, Jahoda's voice work, Sonia Kruger obviously done a fantastic job in expressing that. It's kind of like Kristen McGuire did for Kachina. Kachina's voice really sold me, and same with Mualani and Farina. I mean, look, there are certain voice actors that just give it their all to that character. Nivelette, for instance, and then there is Capitano. There's so many characters. So when a certain character has this marvelous voice work, they just amplify the character by a lot, by so much that it's unimaginable. Like, it's difficult to not like them. And that was Jahoda for me. And her design just slaps so hard. It goes with the full Nod-Krai vibe with Nasha Town. Because if you see Nasha Town's fashion sense, it's not that great. It's very, let's just do something and get over with. So Jahoda having, toned shots, having those ripped stockings on one leg, having a hat over her head, a cap basically, and it is a nice design. And she also has a mechanical arm. So she's part cyborg. It is really good. After that, Nefer was the Yelan. Like, I imagined her as Yelan, Dendro Yelan. She deals in intel. The way that they built her character was also very good. Like, I was thinking that they've merged story quest and story quest and character quest in one huge quest. So I was like, this might be like Star Rail, which is kind of boring because I don't really like what Star Rail and Wuthering Waves do, especially since they've deleted companion quests from their dictionary. So I just don't like the way that they write their stories, because it often feels more like a character quest than a main quest. But Genshin did not do that, and I am so happy for that, because even though Lauma wasn't the focus for Act 1, it didn't feel like she was stealing a lot of screen time. No, Jahoda had enough screen time, Nefer had screen time. We even got a Lauma trial when we were invading the Fatui stronghold, and it was really amazing. The music, the way the cutscenes, the part where Lumine, like I play Lumine, so I'm gonna refer to her, where Lumine meets Aether, that was a complete surprise for me. And I'm really glad that the devs hid that portion. Like, they could have shown that in the trailers, but they didn't. And when Aether popped up on my screen when I was recording, when I was playing the Archon, when I was playing the Nod-Krai Quest, and I was like, hey yo, what are you doing here? So that was a really fun sequence that I played, and it was really heartwarming, heart-touching, even though whatever happens in the end is kind of gut-wrenching, but still. Moving on to Act 2, we get into Flins' character. Now, we've already met Flins in Act 1, but we don't see him a lot. In Act 2, we dive into Flins' character as a light keeper, and we already see how the light keepers operate. We also see Rerir, who is one of the 5 sinners of Khaenri'ah, and we see him manifest. We see him manifest as the Wild Hunt. We see him fight as Flins. It is magnificent the way that they have developed this antagonist, because in Act 1, this antagonist, Rerir, manifests himself as Aether to confuse Lumine, to confuse our traveler. And then in Act 2, they just straight up, masquerade themselves as one of the leaders of the Light Keepers, get their leader killed and masquerades as them, then frames Flins. Like, it's all jumbled up. It's a huge mystery on what's happening. And then towards the end, you see this Rerir guy wanting to get a new body because he wants to be strong. He wants to revive himself. And he has this really elaborate plan where he's destroying Wild Hunt spots to generate more power. But then you have this really great sequence with Lauma again in Act 2, which should have been like, if this was Star Rail or Wuthering Waves, they would have dedicated that entire act to Flins. Like, Flins would have been doing everything, everywhere, only him in the screen, nobody else. And Act 1 would have been Lauma only, nobody else. But no, Genshin did not do that. So in Act 1, we had Jahoda and Nefer stealing the show. And in Act 2, we had Lauma steal the show with her sequence towards the end in Nasha Town, where she united the people as the Moon Chanter of the Frost Moon Science. And the way that Nasha Town was portrayed over there with the flames, with anarchy, it was really, really well done. Like that dedicated sequence, I think I love it so much, and they've learned so much from the war part that we had in Act 4 of Natlan. I think that formed the basis of, them diving into doing set pieces for the main quest, and it was so worth it, because the immersiveness, the sky color, the nature of the environment, everything, it just adds impact to it. Unlike normal quests where you walk into the city, it's serious everywhere, but people are going about their daily lives. Timaeus is at his craft bench, Catherine is at the Adventurers Guild, and it just does not make sense. So over here, when you see anarchy, it is magnificent for the story. After that, you see Ineffa and Aino in a sequence, and you see Ineffa carrying Aino while she's glides and zip lines over the Kuwaki energy line. And it was just such a nice detail. Like, they could have just made Nefer into a Kuhenki. Like, obviously, save the cost. You have the ideas, you have the game design for Kuhenki, so why design why design Ineffa carrying Aino on that? But they just did it for that sequence, and it was, once again, amazing. Literally amazing. Now, we get to the main part. We get to the Harbingers. Now, we have two Harbingers in Nod-Krai, which is amazing. Like, it is amazing in the sense that, one of the Harbingers is downright evil, a bratty evil person. And the second one is a broken Harbinger that, that when you listen to her story, when you talk to her in game, you just can't help but feel sad for her. Now, I'm going to talk about the bratty one first, because she is amazing. Sandrone, or Marionette. Sandrone, she greets us in Act 1 as the Catherine, like Catherine in quotes, the Catherine of Nod-Krai, and her very famous line, Ad Astra Abyssas, welcome to Nod-Krai, Dominion of the Fatui. I just love her voice actress so much. Like, the way that she voices Sandrone is amazing. But Sandrone as a character is very well done. Like, I've been waiting so long for an evil Harbinger. I think the last evil Harbinger that we had was Signora, because Scaramouche went through his redemption arc with becoming the Wanderer. Arlecchino was barely featured in the Fontaine Archon Quest. Like, she was there, but she didn't really do anything except scare Farina for some reason, which was honestly really funny. And then in Natlan, we already know what the captain did, and Arlecchino and the captain weren't really that aggressive, weren't really that, downright evil. They had a sense of nobility in them. Sandrone is crazy, like batshit crazy. She's like Dottore, even Dottore in Sumeru. He was more towards behind the scenes, like you didn't really know what he was doing. You just saw him in that one sequence in Act 3 when he took over the people of Sumeru's minds, but you don't really fight him, you don't really see him in more cutscenes. And after that, you only see him talking to Nahida, where he tells Nahida that the sky is fake. So that's it. He just dropped that lore bomb and said, sayonara girl, I'm out. So getting Sandrone to be just, downright evil, like, she's like loyal to the motherland, to the Fatui stuff. She's very loyal to it. And it is really nice to see that kind of character again in this game. Now with her is her robot, which is massive and magnificent. Like, if I want that robot to be playable. If you've seen the cutscene with Sandrone, Polonia, the robot's name, and Rerir fighting, you can just feel how badass the robot is, with firing kamehamehas and laser cannons and multiple missiles, and it is just amazing. Now I don't know if there is somebody inside the robot or if it is purely mechanical like Ineffa, but considering Sandrone might be playable, I am quite excited to see how they will incorporate that robot into her combat, into her kit. And it might just be really, really amazing. Not gonna lie. And overall, a really great character. Like, I'm really happy that Sandrone was introduced this way. And after this, we have the final harbinger for Nod-Krai, Columbina, the damselette, who is actually the moon goddess. I think she is the frost moon, the second sister. I mean, there are three sisters in the entire Tibet region: the eternal moon, the frost moon, and the iridescent moon, of which the eternal moon has died, and the iridescent moon is nowhere to be seen. So the frost moon remains, the frost moon goddess. I think that's what I was, I understood. Like, there are fragments, and then there are goddesses, and then there are this and that, and I mean, it'll get clearer as the story progresses. But Columbina on a whole, I am blown away by her performance, by the way that she walks, she talks, the way her personality is. It is very ethereal. It feels like an actual god who is confused, who is very aloof, who does not know how to interact with humanity. Like, after all, like in the past 5 years, we have seen Venti, very chill, loves to drink. Zhongli, again very chill, loves to listen to stories, works for Hu Tao for some reason. You have the Raiden Shogun, who is revered by her people, and she lives inside a puppet. But yeah. Then we have Nahida, who loves her people, and after the events of Sumeru Archon Quest, she is very active with meeting her people, with, the upliftment of Sumeru City and the entire region. Farina, we all know, was faking it. Neuvillette now handles everything, and Focalor is dead, so the Hydra Archon is no more. And then we have Maoika, who is literally worshipped in Natlan. So now you have a goddess who does not trust her own people. The people don't even know that she exists. And she joined an evil organization where she thought that she would get, she would be accepted. But over there, they were just using her for her power, for her knowledge, and she understood that and, ran away from them. And it is a very intriguing character, it is a very mysterious character, it is a very great character arc that they have gone with. Like, they have made Columbina an interesting character, and I'm really excited to see where her story goes. And also, she is not mad at us, but she bickers with Sandrone. That particular sequence, it was hilarious. It was absolutely amazing. I love that. But overall, the way that, Nod-Krai has shaped up to be, I wish, the devs went back and did that for older regions, for Natlan, for Fontaine, for Sumeru, Inazuma, Liyue, Mondstadt. Please give the level of love that you've given to Nod-Krai to the old regions as well. Like in Nod-Krai, when you walk around as Lauma in the Frost Moon Sands on Hisi Island, the animals come to you, they don't run away. Unlike, if you're playing Traveler only or any other character and don't have Lauma in your team. The Frost Moon Sign priestess and priest always bow to you, respect you with their folding hands gesture whenever you walk as Lauma. If you switch to another character, they will ignore you. You have Flins, who can listen to the Wild Hunt's cries, which you cannot listen if you play as any other character. You can walk around Nasha Town, and if you're playing as Ineffa or Aino, you have unique interactions with them, which is very, very good. And also, you have permanent anecdotes now, so the characters are always roaming around. You can see Ineffa getting stuck to a magnet, playing. You can see Aino roaming about, Flins is fishing, Lauma is reading books, Lauma is doing something. I haven't seen Jahoda or Nefer anywhere, but maybe they will be in the game, doing something. And it is just nice to see that, these characters are in the game. Like, they do not just vanish completely after completing the Archon Quest and Story Quest. They are in the game world, and they're just chilling, doing daily activities. Now, I wish, Natlan had this. Like, like Maoika is chilling in her sacred chamber, and if you're playing as Maoika and you go talk to other members of the Natlan tribes, and they're like, oh, Archon, that is amazing. That would be immersion at its highest level. Or if you're playing as Chaska and you go to the Flower Feather clan, everybody recognizes you as Chaska. Or same as Mualani or Kinich or Kachina. And then if you're going in Fontaine, you have Farina, where everybody will be like, oh, Lady Farina. And if you're not, like playing a Fontaine character, they'll be like, the general stuff. So I wish, the devs went back and did it for all regions. It is just amazing the way that, Nod-Krai as a world has developed. The scenery is ethereal, it's beautiful, it's magnificent, it is gorgeous, it is so breathtaking. Like, I'm a personal fan of the Nordic sceneries, the fjords, the aurora borealis, the aurora lights, and the very purplish sky that people way up in the North see. Like, I live in India. At night I see black or dark blue, or whatever you want to call that, but it is not beautiful. It is not. You rarely see stars over here. So I've always been fascinated by the sky that these people have, the Nordic people have up top, and the way that they have made it for Nod-Krai. It is truly beautiful. Nasha Town feels like something out of Cyberpunk, where they have neon lights everywhere. It is just gorgeous. So Nod-Krai on a whole has been nothing but great. I might have a region ranking video soon, like once I further explore, because I'm still exploring the area. I still have a lot of world quests to do. I still have a lot of farming to do for primogens, for artifacts, for bosses, everything, but I'll be back soon. And this is my initial review of Nod-Krai, Act 1, Act 2, the world, the characters, everything. And also they left us with a tease of Varka, which I'm honestly expecting, like, just give us Varka at this point. I want to see the man in the game. I don't even care if he is standard, if he has a DR tier kit, I don't really care. I want to see the man in the game. But that is it. Thanks for watching. Nod-Krai is amazing, and I will be back with more hype videos for Nod-Krai, more appreciation videos for Nod-Krai. So please click subscribe to support me. It really means a lot. Please like the video, subscribe and comment, and do the usual stuff. You can also hype the video if you want to. It's this new feature. I don't know what it does, but yeah. So that being said, thanks for watching. Goodbye.